We are live here at Old City Hall where the Moors have returned. Sir, do you have anything to say about this matter?
Yeah. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Yep.
Sir, what do you have to say?
I just want to put it on the record. I'm not right.
Yeah, what he said.
More's life matters.
More lives matter. It seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Shot in the back, running or choked out to death on the corners. Mistake this taser for his sidearm, says the coroner. To the yellow journalist that won awards for writing facts. For worldwide web press stories, always calling them black. Civil rights violated, here comes C1-7. And CIA and FBI agent, brethren felons with what Big Brother once heard. Most Moors are nerds and study more than if I'm on the road, no biting curbs. No threats of nooses or fighting for survival. Making Moors martyrs won't happen, calling us Captain Rival. Inquisitionist governors and secretaries of state got stateless on their tables like ribeye steak. With no care, blood dripping, they eat blacks rare. Foreigners wearing 6-point badges, pretending they're heirs to the vastness estate Muguri Balaksa. Stateless blood flow past a horse's brow, I swear it's agua. Demons thirst quench, stealing pioneers and organs. Psychiatry, death industry, to stars selling black orphans. And half-closed coffins, cause legs are missing. Killing stateless people, cancer won't even see remission. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
System, what system? Not gonna make myself no victim. Run down and kick them up, educate oneself and flip them. All of the titles or nationality strips them. Must grip reality in order to really grips them in this third dimensional illusion. Organized chaos, confusion, stealing your attention, mental intrusion. Universal laws, declaration of the ancients. I self-law and master from the rooftops to the basements. Hoop these to the spaceship, ever since all creations. Celestial foundations, ocean floor to the ranges, to the mountain tip, to the cosmic infinite. Basically we are way above the shit. In other words, get in tune with spirit. Take a breath and accept mental polarity, gender rhythm, correspondence, vibration, cause and effect.
More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
More lives matter cause I sing it no sound off. It gets defective when rejected, put your masks off. Get my perspective on the record to replay. On the news that on replay until they wanna cast off. Bury them, on to the next one. Enough of them are gunning down. Use them a cast cross. Can't believe a Tubby that. Can't believe a Taj Pass. Trayvon, Michael Brown died for us to find cause. The afterlife visited the class wrong. Who they really wanna see with the crown on high and the garbs on free? I am free and you're no business but your land or your country to seek your inalienable rights. The insatiable delight of knowing thyself and bringing all injustice to light. For the fight, it's your plight, make your sight for the bright. I'm the mic in the night, foresight for you to realize that, huh?
More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
Peace and love, Moors. It's MHHS, Eyes Wide Open, Sons of Allah. I am Mizraim Aleph L, along with the Grand Sheikh, Iron Sheikh, Kujo Awo L. Islam Noble.
Islam Noble. Peace more. Islam to all the Moors.
Peace, indeed, indeed. So here we are, our last broadcast for the 2016 Gregorian calendar. I want to thank everybody who's tuning in and who has tuned in. And, you know, it's pretty interesting. We here. It's a lot going on. Put it in a nutshell, but we're going to get right to it. So at this particular time, and I don't know what you want to do, if you want to, you know, call in, they could call in on our broadcast, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I know there's a few things I want to speak my piece about straight up, and you know, likewise, I'm sure. So
before you even do that, just to put it on the record, right, that before I came into the Moorish movement, I was about unity of our people. Why would we bring me personally? Because I paid for it. So why would I bring Black Dot to Toronto if I'm not about unity? Why would I bring Bobby Hemmett? Why would I bring Sister Zagina from the Nuwapians? Why would we bring Queen Mother Imaku, who's chematology and all that? Why would we bring Professor Griff? Why would we bring Obashango L? How much people know that Obashango L came to Toronto and we brought him here? You guys know who he is now, but there's a track record that people don't know about, right? And people are taking this perspective of, you know, they're getting it right now. Like, you know, RV Bay Publication is Mizraim's mom. Nobody's closer to RV Bay Publications than him. Nobody. Nobody has any claim other than the creator of it. Other than that, it's the heirs who have a right to say something. And Noble Jwali told Moors that new Moors are going to come with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing. And they're going to seat all you old Moors in the back, because don't forget, this is the transition that's taking place right now, right? Because, you know, it's time for the mother, you know, to chill and let the sons deal with certain things. And they've been chilling. People have been slandering RV Bay Publications. Ever since we came into this in 2007, 2008, people were telling us, don't listen to RV Bay Publications and don't listen to Taj Street Bay. Back then. So people can't play this game that, you know, they're the victim. Because from 2007, people have been talking BS about RV Bay Publications. I know that for a fact because as the Grand Sheik out here, they had to call me personally. There's nobody else to call with regard to Moors in quote-unquote Canada, but Kudro Adwell, nobody else. And all these individuals have my phone number because my number hasn't changed. And you tell me 9 years goes by and it's all of a sudden now people got issues with what Kudro's doing or what Kudro said or who Kudro's affiliating with or whatever. So we're letting it be known that before Moorish Science, I've personally been about unity of our people, right? I can go call youths who will tell you that, yeah, right, this guy did stuff for me. You know what I mean? They call themselves black or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm for unity of our people, right? Because we're for unity of our people, and we have a track record to prove that we are for unity of our people, do not ever think that this is some stuff against some people, like we don't like some brothers or whatever. This is about the misconcepts that these people are presenting. That's what they're mad at. That's why they're making a personal thing. Have people call people, sit on the phone, pretend like, you know, like we're new to this. We're not new jacks. I don't run with new jacks. I always ran with the old school people. Just come to this city and check the record. Because it was the old school people, even though they were selling drugs or whatever like that, they were telling us stay in school. They were telling us get an education, do something with your life. That's the old school that I grew up around. That sold drugs and had Benzes and Beamers in the 80s. Right? So we respect the old school. And it's time for the old school to chill because people are getting crazy right now. People are really getting crazy. Like we told the Moors the last time, right? If you're on this call right now, right, you should be bombarding these people's chat. Mufti, their chat.
Word.
You want to be on the internet and stuff like that? Okay. Go Mufti, their chat, right? And I'm going to yield the floor because really, to keep in mind, this has nothing to do with Kudrow and Morris Science Temple and, you know what I mean, Taj Tariq Bey, and this has nothing to do with all that. This is the son of the mother that these people been slandering. So don't try to tie stuff with, you know what I mean? No, we don't have any say right now. We're just backing our brother who's a Moorish American, who knows that he's Moorish American, who knows that he doesn't have to be in the temple to be a Moor, stuff like that, who knows constitutional law, studies civics, and has a certain perspective. You know what I mean? And we know that perspective is right because it's tried and true. Go ask Mario L. Bay, who killed 9 felonies using birthrights. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I'm going to yield the floor, and more, do your thing.
Indeed. So yeah, salute to you as well, and big shout out to everybody who has been defending, you know, the honor of, you know, the online university or school, etc. You know what I mean? And big acknowledgement to you because you have been doing that for a while. You know, I personally, myself, have not been on that technology wave, so there's a lot of things that we don't even hear about, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, I've heard of people with disagreements and different points of view, you know, but some of the things that are going on right now is on another aspect, you know, borderline. No, not even borderline. It's disrespectful, you know. So, like I've said, you know, I respect everybody who is working for unity. However, in the midst of that, like, nobody's work is going to be dissed as far as what RV Bay has done. Like, not like that. I mean, you know, they're trying to do that, but not without responses. So my thing is, you know, to just recap, because they're saying things like what's being taught through RV Bay publications is not more science. And, you know, it's sad looking at this because they really don't understand what it is. Like, let's just reflect on this year alone, not to divert, but to actually correlate everything all in. Because at the same time, this is our last show for the 2016 Gregorian calendar. So let's just real talk. So let's recap on this particular time frame while we going in on this. All right? Because no, it's not our last period, but this is the last of this particular time frame. So there's things that are changing and things like that. But they say, you know, oh, well, that's not more science and things like that. Look at Prince, for example, because we lost a lot of greats this year, you know what I mean? Dr. Sebi, Muhammad Ali, Prince, he showed you what more science was by correcting his status through hieroglyphs, all right, and retrieving back his masters and things of that nature eventually. So, you know, that's an example, because when you're talking hieroglyphs and art, you got to remember Moors are the founders of that. So he showed you how to do it in a different from from a more ancient perspective, getting in this, getting in proper person through hieroglyphs, though. So that's an example of more science. Let us not let that go in vain, regardless of, whether he was homoerotic or whatever. The thing is, what did he show? You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, that demonstration of getting free from the spell castings and things like that, that applies on multiple levels, from your driver's license on up, birth certificates, things like that. No, we're not saying there's a financial return or anything like that. Those who are doing that, that's on them. That's their choice, etc. But what I'm saying is that you see different aspects on multiple levels of being in your own proper person. It so happens we are the Aboriginal indigenous people, so it's a different vibration with us being in our own proper person, in our proper status, in propria persona. So, again, I can't emphasize enough that one of the principles Noble Drew Ali laid out was freedom. Freedom. So when you see Morris building and adding on to those lessons, you can't really knock that. You know what I mean? Because, and if you do, it just shows that you're still a vassal-minded being, and it's like, you don't really understand the potency of nationality. Why do I say that? Because it's always a diversity between us. But, Taharka Bay, all these people who are slandering, and shout out to everybody who's trying to work for unity and things like that. We trust that happens. But, as of right up to the show, these people are still talking crazy. So, I'm not going to sit back and watch that. I know I can speak for myself. I personally, do I want to have to spend energy on doing this? No. You know what I'm saying? But am I going to sit back and watch a public slander campaign go on? Absolutely not. Definitely not. You know what I mean? And on some real, for real, if they're talking unity, and they want to pull up void judgments and things like that, my thing is those same void judgments or whatever it is, don't leave out the fact that they call it the Moorish Science Temple a Black Islamic sect, meaning that they denationalized the Moorish Science Temple as well in that very same opinion. So, and not that we lost our nationality or anything of that nature. I'm just saying, notice there's a slander campaign going on. Real facts. That's all I'm saying. That doesn't make anything valid. But you have those cooperatives who are part of that. And I don't know everything. I'm a flash back to the conversation with Neil Bay in a minute. And acknowledgement to everybody who tried to work for freedom and is trying, and peace and things of that nature. That's all well, but everybody's not for that. So when you see people like Taharka, right, mentioning or slandering or, having questions, that's cool. But, when you're trying to associate ties with, Corinne Gaines and things of that nature and Harvey Bay and all of that, with that situation, my thing is this, and I've said this before, but I can't emphasize it enough, the fact that, that'll be the equivalent of saying that Mansour Ball Bay's death was the responsibility of the MST of A. I think that what needs to be realized, if people really want to realize or work for unity, is realize that there's a common foe, whether you want to accept that or not. If you have a problem with the right to travel, okay, whatever you feel as though is best for you, that's what you do, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But keep in mind, as showed in the demonstrations, that, the children, you know what I mean, 5 years old already operating tractors. And not just that, actually building, you know what I mean, or paving the way and things of that nature. So what I'm saying is, from an international law perspective, understanding that we are not subjects of, the U.S. Corporation. You can try to downplay that however you want. If you've acquiesced, let that be on y'all. But I say that if there's any aspect of unity, you're going to respect the fact that we're standing on the 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and we don't take freedom lightly, you know what I mean? So at the same time, what it's showing is that these are people who are not qualified to even speak on the position of Noble Drew Ali, because mind you, Noble Drew Ali taught national principles, nationality, birthrights, and things like that, you know, and to say, oh, well, R.V. Bey copied from an acknowledgement to the Circle 7, you know what I mean? Acknowledgement to you, all the brethren who, you know, defended the teachings over the years and things like that, you know what I mean, and still are, you know what I mean? But, like, you see that, and not even that they copied, we copied and pasted from them, you know, because that's a site, whether these Moors are just waking up or not, that a lot of people have been hip to, you know what I mean, and turned on to. So the information is there for free, you know what I mean? It's a large body of information just for you to study, you know, and anybody could copy and paste that, you know. There's been multiple people who've tried to, you know, mock or take the face or image of R.V. Bey and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Including myself, you know, there was a communication where somebody was claiming to be, you know, Mizraim, as if they were the son of R.V. Bey. That's how it was coming across. So there's been a lot of misunderstandings like that. But what I'm saying is that none of that information is invalid. You know what I mean? None of it is invalid. And the fact that we stand on principles of freedom, you know, right to travel, we've exercised those rights, you know, and there's been multiple occasions where people have not been, you know, tampered with. I mean, and it's not like everybody's going to come on and tell their story because, like I said, you got Moriscos out here who will try to put them, you know, on the spot. You know what I'm saying? And they might not want to move like that just because.
No, I'm going to get in right now. I just tore his ass up to Harker's ass real quick, man. Yeah, blocked me real quick. Hold on.
What's really good? Who's this?
So Islam.
Boy.
No, is Brother Yusuf L just called me.
Oh, all right.
What's going on, man?
Peace and love, Brother Yusuf. What's really good?
Peace and love, man. How you, man?
All is well.
Yeah, I was just watching Tahaka on Morisco TV, and he just blocked me. He had just put his leader up there, and because he finally found out who his leader was, he part of them naturalizing Moors from Temple 19. I told him, I said, yo, you not a Moor, you naturalized, and he blocked me. He wouldn't let me write nothing else. They naturalizing Moors.
Yeah.
They not nationalizing, they part of Temple 19.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And that's crazy. That's crazy. So what I'm saying is we being free nationals, understanding, you know, the principles of nationality and things of that nature, like if it's going to be any unity, we can't unify and you're disrespecting principles of nationality. Like that, how can that, you know, effectively go down? You know, that's not because, again, we talking status. They talking about building things and things like that, you know, and this is another thing where I say it's sad, you know, because these are agents or people who are desperate on their last leg for attention because, you know, like I said before, salute. Yeah, all of that. Salute to Cujo. This is not intended for you. But what I'm saying is the MST of A has been around for a while. You know what I mean? So if you're asking where the building's at and all of these things, those answers that y'all was charged to have. You know what I mean? When Prophet said every temple must have a school. Okay. So where's that at? Like, and if there is any, you know, for me, start speaking up more. Maybe I'm ill-informed. I don't know. But what I'm saying is you can't take something who has a 100-year run, right? Because I don't know of any, you know, colossal or, you know, gargantuan Moorish building in the anywhere in North America where Moors are running it like that. I don't know of it anywhere. So if I'm ill-informed, you know what I'm saying, let me know. But that was a charge that was left 100-plus years ago, so you can't put that on the shoulders of RV Bay Publications. We're not wearing that. You will not get that off. That's just what it is. So, you know, you come in on the scene like you just woke up yesterday and, you know, you trying to delete this whole history of what flopped with y'all and that y'all have the responsibility to answer those questions. So, you know, as far as where's the buildings at, there's a lot of things that are going on, but these Moriscos will never be, you know, privy to that and with that type of energy. You know what I'm saying? That's not. And then on top of that, we need an account of where's the buildings that you're supposed to have at. You know what I mean? Let it be publicly made known if we're missing something. So, you know, but overall what I'm saying is nationality, birthright, you know, we have a distinct status from the Europeans. So if you're talking about building, how are we going to do that if you're not even in the proper status? If you're going to pay the pilgrim the rest of your life, that's not freedom. That's not regaining back your lost estate, as was mentioned in Chapter 1 of the Circle 7. So my problem comes in when these people are not just dissing RV Bay, you know, but dissing RV Bay as if the spirit of Prophet Noble Drew Ali isn't in that, right? And then at the same time, publicly acting as if they're representing Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And my thing was, yeah, like that's the misrepresentation. You know what I mean? Because he was not
that's
about any naturalization.
Right.
Say what?
That's the real crazy part right there. I said that's the real crazy part right there.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
They do the stuff they do and then say Noble Drew Ali. I'd be like, yo, that is crazy, man.
That's crazy. So they misrepresenting themselves on all levels. You know what I'm saying? All levels, and you know that's not going to be like tolerated. That's just not, because not only are you coming in and you're trying to say, oh, RV Bay is wrong, but blatantly misrepresenting the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Yep.
And I tell you why, among other things. And I'm not here to get back and forth in arguments with sisters or anything like that. But the fact that, you know, we was left certain lessons about nationality, you know, whereas we were supposed to understand, further study, digest, and realize that, yo, we have a distinct political body, like we are our own nation. You know what I mean? At that time, things were heavily segregated and things like that, if you will, quote unquote. So, you know, like having our own things was not a foreign thing, specifically when Prophet Noble Drew Ali was on the scene. So,
exactly.
Again, it goes back, this road travel thing correlates with so much because it was our ancestors who made the conveyance. So, again, like I said, that's an inherent birthright, the right to travel.
Exactly.
If you want to keep retarding the children, if you want to keep retarding them as if they're not competent, meanwhile, you got, you know, 12-year-olds whipping Mack trucks, knowing how to shift gears and hit the hot, all of these things, you know, you're not giving the children, the youth, you know, because they're talking about the new Moors. No, y'all are old heads. You feel me? The Moors have youth. So, you know, whatever you're trying to do to block them, we're not going to allow that. That's just not going down.
Yeah.
So this movement is not about any one individual. So I would say, respectively, Taharka Bey is not the spokesman for all Moors. You know what I mean? He's definitely not. He's not representing, you know, Prophet Noble Drew Ali's lessons as he's claiming that he is. You know what I mean? Or many people, for that matter, because he wouldn't be a part of a thing or naturalizing, you know, playing. That's not nationality. Not to say natural law doesn't apply, but naturalization doesn't. So my whole thing is, you know, like, when they get up there and they speak negative about the right to travel, remind yourself that he already subtracted from the principle of freedom, which Noble Drew Ali emphasized. He emphasized that principle of freedom. Yeah, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So then to turn around.
In the 5 points.
It's in the 5 points.
They try to make
you
it
know
seem like
saying?
it's not part of the 5 points. I'm like, what do you, Noble Drew Ali didn't
but hold
teach
on.
right to travel. I'm like,
yeah, but Brother Youssef, though, check this out as well. They asking where's the more science at and saying those things are not more science. We're talking about a flag who has the 5-pointed star, right, which emphatically includes the pentagram. You know what I mean? The pentagon and things like that. That's more science in itself. Noble Drew Ali told him in the lessons that it represents love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So when Moors are moving on that principle of freedom, that's more science, period. Just study all the laws you can, et cetera, or information you can to back yourself up with, knowledge that surrounds that principle of freedom, because you got to remember freedom and liberty go hand in hand. So the whole thing is, liberty, the right to travel, these things are inherent birthrights. And, if the children keep being brought into the world by vascular, because when you hear New Moors, don't think these old heads. Don't think Taharka Bay. Don't think, whoever else, anybody associated with the Morisco mentality. Like, think the youth for real, the New Moors. The Moors who are growing and molding in the womb right now as we're speaking on this line. Those are the new Moors. And not that there hasn't been new Moors that are our age and things like that. Don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. But this is not about disrespecting elders, which they've done. And I'm saying that because I don't mean any disrespect to the old heads, quote unquote, or the those classic people, if I shall say, that classic age group. It's not about disrespecting them, but it's about realizing that, we're going into a new era of time. And it's at the point where, these lessons of Noble Drew Ali have been around for 100 years. Harvey Bay Publications has done and will continue to do a great job getting those lessons out to the people. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted. Yeah, there's been a background in the MST of A, but that we took the lessons Prophet Noble Drew Ali had and built on them. That was a foundation. It's not a disrespect. But what I'm saying is, not only did we just understand that, the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we later come to be enlightened that those are actually lawful principles, like with legal, lawful, equitable implications. So, again, you got Moriscos, people stand up on their rights and they like, they wild and they did this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, Muhammad Ali did not blame Elijah when the pilgrims tested his chin and tried to strip the champ of his title. You know what I mean? He didn't blame his teachings. He knew what time it was. Big rest in peace, because like I said, this whole year has been, full of messages left by those who passed. Just this year alone. So, we got to remember these things moving forward as example points. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Sabi, when he said they asked him about a passport, and his question back to them was, is the passport African? Of course, the answer was no, and his answer was, then why would I have one? You know what I mean? Staying in that state of mind. You understand? Like, we're there with it. So, as a nation, as a people, allodial in thought and deed, moving forward, that's where we at with it. So I just want to add on to this because, and like I said, shout out to everybody who is endeavoring to work towards peace. You know what I mean? Yeah, we still are about those principles, but I didn't see any efforts from who I heard because I didn't really talk to anybody, but from what I heard, certain people were supposed to do certain things. I didn't see that go down. So I didn't see a change in nobody's attitude. So, we just going in like this. Taharka Bay.
One thing to add.
Morisco World TV.
One thing to add. One thing to add, when you're talking about the Noble Drew Ali lessons, right?
Yeah.
They would take things like right now the thing is because I use profanity, I'm violating the Prophet like some serious way. They want, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing something so crazy but you're not saying nothing to the naturalizers. You're not saying nothing to the 501c3 Moorish Science Temple. You're not saying nothing to the other people that are doing way more worse stuff. I mean, we at least had 3 editions of a newspaper out here. How many of these temples out here put out a newspaper since Noble Drew Ali passed? Go check their records. Go ask them those questions and then say who's violating. If a profanity is violating more than some people not having a newspaper since 1929, and tell me who's violating something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, continue on more. I just want to slide that one in there.
Yeah. So, no disrespect to the sister personally, but this is how you know these people don't represent more science. He had a show, last week where he had an attorney on, and it just brought me back to a point in the Circle 7, just so y'all know, Holy Quran, chapter 14, number 24, it was mentioning, your lawyers, doctors, scribes are useless cumberers of the ground. They are but tumors on the body of the state. You know what I mean? Now, in that lesson itself, just in that lesson is something to think about. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Because we know that the attorneys are officers of the court, etc. So, to come from that position, like this is law and what we're standing on is not, is a cheap shot. It's lame. And like our right to travel, things of that nature. There's been many Moors who had their situation, and there's been no situation. Yeah, there's been challenges, but you're not gonna come like after Moors already stood on the front line firm. Like your way is the new way, and you put in work. You put in zero work when it came to this pilgrim. So like you're not impressing us. If the people are swayed by that, like they're gonna finally, blow the dust off their computers and, try to take over on an internet wave type of thing. Like, nah, you know what I mean? Because you'll get washed, and that's just real talk. So and ain't nobody gonna be going back and forth forever. I know I'm not. There's a lot of things I like to, bring forth in 2017, but I refuse to just have to fall back and just watch these people not just slander, but like imply people in certain things that I don't know, in certain places you couldn't walk around if you was doing that. You know what I mean? So I know places like that. And, people think it's cute on YouTube or whatever, or they're getting a buzz, but nah, like he should be red flagged by everybody. And shout out to everybody who did, because, that's what it is. I got in contact with the brother Neil Bay, or I don't know, if you want to even mention on this or bring it up, but when you send me the link to his phone, I just clicked call. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing playing. I was just tired of the slander. I'm like, yo, what do y'all have to say? And from there, the whole thing went live or whatever. But, my thing is lawyers, doctors, scribes, attorneys, all these people, they're coming in with statues and claiming that we're black with the fez on and things like that, saying they don't like status correction and all this status correction. then brought Polite on the show, right? And we know that everybody know he was about the status correction thing. So my thing is, it's confusing, you know, like if you're confused, if you're trying to learn, sit down and learn. But don't, you know, be blurting out your mouth if you don't know what you're talking about. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As far as what we've done, what we're doing, you know, the changes it's made. There's been a sister who has traveled across country on the right to travel card and got stopped and no problem. All right? So, you know, I know what's real. You know what I'm saying? I know that we have those substantive natural birthrights as a nation, as a people. When you talk about absolute rights, just for the record, y'all can check this out for yourself. Absolute rights of men may be reduced to three principal or primary articles, you know, and that would be the right of personal security, which consists in the person's legal and uninterrupted enjoyment of his life, his limbs, his body, his health, right? And the reference to source of law is John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia of Law, Francis Rawley's third revision. Tie that in with the Ninth Amendment, you know, on that's page 2962, 2962. And the right of personal liberty. And a lot of people, when they think personal liberty, they go back to the quote-unquote slave laws, and that's not what it is. That also consists of your right to travel. So personal liberty consists in the power of locomotion, of changing situation, or removing one's person to whatever place one's inclination may direct without restraint, less by due course of law, due process of law. That's what it is. And that goes back to the Constitution. And remember, within the Constitution, you have rights that are not even enumerated. So don't let anybody just say that your rights are circumscribed just to a statute or just to that. You need to understand that Constitution. You need to study. Through the years, RV Bay Publications, MHHS, Law Talk has promoted the fact that you need to study. You know what I mean? Those were cautions. You study, listen, take heed if you paying attention. So the right of property, which consists in the free use, right? The free use, enjoyment, and disposal of all his acquisitions, control, or diminution, save only by the law of the land. So there's the three absolute rights according to John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia of Law. The right of personal security, personal liberty, and the right of property. And you go into, and this definition is on RV Bay Publications. Check this out. The definition of personal liberty is freedom. Mind you, that's a principle Noble Drew Ali laid out. Freedom. Yeah, I'm about to roll out on this. So freedom. Personal liberty is freedom from physical and personal restraint, the right to the pursuit of happiness, freedom to go where one chooses, and to pursue such lawful occupations as may seem suitable. In its broad sense, personal liberty would include freedom from unlawful arrest and restraint, from unlawful seizures and searches, from assault and battery, from libel and slander, from general warrants of arrest, from unfair monopolies of trade, and from quartering soldiers in time of peace. And it would include also the right to trial by jury, liberty of conscience, the right to travel, all right, and immigrate, to bear arms, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. But personal liberty in a stricter sense includes only freedom to move about as one pleases and to pursue any lawful calling. So, you know, again, that's from your Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary. Your John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia of Law, Francis Rawley's third revision, page 2576, under the definition of personal liberty. And I read that because this is the information we stand on, we're fortified in multiple aspects. You know, it's been ruled multiple times that, you know, you have the right to travel. So if y'all are scared, just say y'all are scared. That would be more respected than acting like the concept is foreign. It's not foreign. It's a birthright. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. It's a birthright. So that being the case, we're going to continue. Everybody has the right to make their own choice. My thing is moving forward as a nation of people, either we're going to move forward in freedom for real or you're going to acquiesce to being servants or, voluntary servitude. That's your choice. I know how far we've come, how much study and work I put in. I'm not ever trying to be, outside the status of a Lodial. Like I'm trying to perpetually remain there. And, I have no intentions of waiving or abandoning any of my birthrights because of a slanderous campaign. Like, that's not going to happen. I don't intend to, let anybody be slandered because they teach in truth. There's been a lot of people who this information has helped save their lives. You know what I'm saying? And I applaud to that. And that's just sincerely from the heart. So my thing is, when we're talking about birthrights as a nation, I'm never up to consent to the fact that Europeans have personal jurisdiction or territorial jurisdiction within our jurisdiction of our ancestral state. That's me. If y'all acquiesce to something different, if y'all left out Chapter 47 from your mentality, just don't claim to represent Noble Drew Ali. Say what you want, but don't misrepresent Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That's where I'm at with it. So if they're going to do that, I just suggest everybody keep in mind, that they're frauds. Whenever they're saying they rep the Prophet, but then directly speaking against freedom, that's your biggest sign. You know what I mean? Like, blatantly. So, yeah, for that, I'll yield the floor back over to you for now, Gujo. Islam.
Islam more.
Yeah.
Yeah, the concept of this, it has to be through the Moorish Science Temple, has to also be adjusted, because that's not the only platform, right? So what Noble Drew Ali did is, from my perspective, right? What Noble Drew Ali did with incorporating the Moorish Science Temple and making it a religious organization is that was its own specific jurisdiction, right? That was the lesser, because there were people who were in that mindset that weren't going to move from that church mindset. Remember when we were talking about singing the hymns or whatever? The Negro spirituals?
Oh, yeah, we heard that with our own ears today. Oh, that's crazy, bro.
And we're not going to say no, you know what I mean? We're not going to say no anybody's or whatever. We're not even going to call who's and what's and whatever like that. But know that there's Moorish Americans with fezzes on or whatever that sing Negro spirituals. And they just replace it with Noble Drew Ali. Right? Those people needed their own jurisdiction. So that's what that jurisdiction was for. You don't want to deal with civics. You don't want to deal with whatever that has to do with birthrights or whatever. Fine. We can't take your birthright from you, because then, you know what I mean, we're going to have more problems, make the Negro problem bigger. So we're just going to take these Negroes here and we're going to put them in this jurisdiction. Now, keep in mind that the Moorish Science Temple of America being registered as a religious corporation is based on constitutional rights, not Heard's Revised Statute.
Word.
So now even that's a perspective now of Moorish Science Temple, that there's a split in that. that there's the religious ones, and then there's the ones that deal with constitutional enforcement, and that recognize that Morris Science Temple is a regency, and recognize that if anybody is making a claim that they're Morris Science Temple of America, anybody else in that jurisdiction that's foreign should be going there to naturalize, not U.S. Corporation, whatever.
Or
if Morris Science Temple was running right, as far as the constitutional part, right?
Yeah.
Because remember the religious one is for the people who don't want to study, the people who want to complain about other people who are active, that they made the Moors look bad because they're standing up to the policeman because the policeman is the law and talking crazy. Those are slaves. Those are mental slaves.
Still to this day,
right?
Still to this day.
Mental Slavics.
Yeah.
Came out of the caves in Europe. That's the mindset that they have. But they have fezzes on. You know what I mean? So they know that much to have fezzes on. They know that much to know what their nationality is. They know that much to know what their flag is, who their prophet is. They got a holy book. They wrap their turban a certain way, put the button on it and all that. But when it comes to constitutional whatever, there's problems. Nobody wants to deal with that. Because what does it mean? It means that you have to take responsibility now. You can't be getting, help. You have to do for self.
Yeah.
The time's going to come when you have to do for self.
I'm tired of getting whooped. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And then one of the Moors put that one up that, that's exactly what they're doing. They're waving red flags right now. Or white flags right now.
Yeah.
Because even on the play of who started it and all that type of stuff. It's not nothing about who started it. Has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and you know what? It's crazy, bro, because that keeps it. That's the childishness. You know what I mean? Remember back in the school days, you got, you might have had your, lunchtime fight or whatever, and then the security guards come. You gotta go to the principal office, and you're like, he started it. No, he started it. No, they started it. And then it's like everything gets lost in that, and like. Yeah, but go ahead. My fault. Continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, with the thing of take down the videos, put up the videos. Like, if you go check right now, there's videos that say Moorish whatever or Morisco whatever that they're closed down because apparently there's supposed to be some truce of take the videos down. But then when I'm taking the videos down and then I'm going and checking their stuff and I'm seeing the videos still up there, I'm like, hold on a second. Like, I thought that we're supposed to be doing about unity or whatever. And then I go on there today and then they're singing songs about RV Bay publications, pseudo-Moors and stuff like that. But I thought, because just yesterday I got the call, right? Just yesterday, got the call, spoke to the More TV people. Like, working on this unity thing. No doing stuff in the public, whatever like that. I already, and because to me, it seemed like I was the last individual to be called. You know what I mean? So, from what I was told, everybody already got talked to. Everybody got talked to already. I was the last person to get talked to. Right? So, when I got talked to, I got told that people said that they're going to take down the videos. You know what I mean? They're saying he started it and we started it, but, that doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, cool, bam. Just went online, bam, started taking on videos. And then and then today, videos are still up and stuff like that. These people aren't serious about no unity.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And just for spite, I'm going to leave those ones off. Just to see how long it takes for them to do theirs.
Man, I'm not holding my breath, yo. Like, real talk.
Straight up, which is the point.
Like, I'm not, because, like, all of it sound good, but just today, he's still on it. So my thing is, yo,
on it.
If that's how you want to be on it, then we on it like that. Like, you know, do we want to be? No. But if you're going to just have a clown show, no. You clowns is not going to get that off. Like, you representing nationality and we not, and, you know, you on some new, nah. You know what I mean? And don't even get me started for real because, you know, I mean, I'm about to go there. Hold on. Let me just quote a couple references, too. Because, you know, people is real tough in their music, you know, swinging scimitars and taking heads off. I want to see what work you put in on the Pilgrim. Other than that, you know, your song is your song. You know what I mean? But, whatever. So, back to nationality. My fault, I don't want to cut your wisdom. But yeah, my fault. Continue.
Do your thing,
yeah, nah. No, because real talk, talking about nationality and they acting as if everybody is subject to the U.S. jurisdiction. Now, mind you, check it out, you know, until further notice, until we see a public apology or videos taken down and things like that, you know, this will remain Mantis Views 29 in there, you know, and even on RV Bay Publications to be exact, too, because the definition of the 14th Amendment, a person, what it means as relative to the 14th Amendment is on there. So what I'm saying is a free and independent nation, you know what I mean, not having a defeated or conquered mind state. When we unplug from that, you know, spirit of rising up, all right, we understand that law still surrounds that because, you know, history and law go together. So just for those, because just to recap, some of this I've said before, but I'm going to say it again. For those more, it's just to refortify what was been, you know, what has been ameliorated. The law of nature. This is again from out the John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law. These are just references. So you don't have to specifically take our word for it, Harvey Bay's word for it. You can go check this out for yourself and realize that there's many sources who those very sources squash everything that Morisco World TV is saying right now. Like everything. Showing what? That they're not studied like that. So like I said, we stand on nationality, birthright, natural law, and law of nature for those who don't know. That also includes self-defense. But the law of nature is superior in obligation to any other. So y'all don't ever be confused on this law tip about, you know, do you have the right to travel, things of that nature. You know, it's still dealing with science, you know, mathematics, and again, remind you, if you are teaching your youth how to travel young, you know, as you see many other nations do, how nationals do, that their lessons are going to be different according to the terrain that they're on. So you got Moors in the mountains, they're going to learn a little different. Like, yo, if you see Mack trucks, you want to stay, you know, 10 cars back. Because if you ride too close and it breaks on the hill, it's going to create a vacuum and suck you right into rear-ending the Mack truck. Things like that, yeah, that needs to be known. You know what I'm saying? Distance and car spaces on the road, yeah, but nobody does it necessarily to be like, yo, here go for a 14-year-old or whatnot. Not that they don't have that right, you know, but it goes back to status and things like that. So, you know, that being the case, let me add on, and then we're going to open up the lines. According, I just got to say this because I want to, you know, remind you this is a recap. So I thank everybody for tuning in. I just ask you to please keep your hand up just a moment. Going back to being a independent nation, right? I want to reference this. This is from the John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia of Law as well. And it says the transaction of independent states between each other are governed by other laws than those which municipal courts administer. Such courts have neither the means of deciding what is right, nor the power of enforcing any decision which they make. Now, again, remind you, the key in this is independent. The transaction between independent states or nations, are different. Like, they're out of the jurisdiction of municipality. Because remind you, we're talking not just RV Bay legacy. You're talking about the legacy of a nation moving into 2020, quote unquote. All right, these are things to keep in mind. You're either going to acquiesce or we're going to continue to stand our square as a nation, and on these principles, staying unified on the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And freedom does include your right to travel. Don't let any lames tell you that it doesn't. All right? Study that. Study right to travel. Make sure you're fortified in it. That, yeah, there might be opposition out there, but that doesn't, remove your birthright. There hasn't been too many times in history where there wasn't pockets of adversity between Moors and Christians. See, because what these people fail to realize, even when you look at the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, they're making a clear distinguishment between Moors and Christians. They don't realize that the U.S. Corporation is Christian society. So when they accepted that law of the corporation, and they could try to downplay, oh, U.S., we got the proof, we got the facts, the references showing you that the United States and persons as used in the 14th Amendment is speaking of corporate. You know what I mean? So if you've acquiesced to that status, do that on your own volition, but don't try to impose that on the people. Like, that's not right and exact. Real talk. Like, if you've acquiesced, just admit it. Just admit that you feel defeated and you want to be subjected to that. Okay, you waved the white flag. That has happened in history multiple times. You know what I'm saying? But don't act like everybody has to acquiesce because you gave up. Everybody is not giving up. So, those who do, again, that's your choice. Like I said before, you got voluntary and involuntary statuses going on out here. And what you blatantly do, consciously do, knowing, then that's your choice. You know what I'm saying? But we're trying to move forward on this law of nature, constitutional law, international law, these being a part of, the laws that apply, not statutes, because, again, the law of nature is superior in obligation to any other. So that's like, let me just give you an example, and this is not, please, not to be on a lower self-frequency, right? But they say murder is illegal, and it is, according to any society's laws, quote-unquote murder is the last thing you want to do. Right? That's what they say. Like, that's the last thing you want to have to do. However, there's instances where it's not. When you're on the other end and you're in self-defense mode, if you have to, do what you got to do to live your life and survive that moment, okay, it's a different aspect to the regular rule, which is why statutes in certain aspects do not always apply. The law of nature is more supreme than the statute if it came down to you having to defend yourself to continue your life on this plane in your physical body. Okay, so just because it's a statute doesn't mean it's always valid or that it even is valid, period. And I'm not suggesting anybody, try to do harm. I'm just saying don't let any be done to you. And don't think that you don't have a right, because that's slave mentality. They told you didn't have a right to defend yourself. You're supposed to stand there and take that beat and call 911. That's what they taught you, okay? Now, knowing that, if you got to protect yourself, you don't feel guilty about it. It's the law of nature. It is superior in obligation to any other. It is binding in all countries at all times. No human laws are valid if opposed to this. All which are binding derive their authority either directly or indirectly from it, that being the law of nature. And again, from the Bouvier's Institutes of American Law, that's international law. You can find that being valid anywhere. anywhere. So I'm going to, before I chime someone else in, absolute rights. Absolute rights are those which belong to each man in particularly, independent of the relations which he has with other men or other members of society, meaning you have birthrights whether you're in the MST of A or not. Don't let anybody take that one from you either, all right? And that's what it is. It goes on to say liberty, for example, is an absolute right. That is an absolute right. By absolute rights, in a primitive and strict sense, must be understood those which man holds from nature, those which he enjoyed in his natural independent state, and which he continues to enjoy in his civil state, for the very object of society is to maintain him in those absolute rights, which he derives from the immutable, meaning unchangeable, inalienable, non-transferable, etc. He derives from the immutable laws of nature. And again, that reference to sources of law is the Institutes of American Law. I'll be touching more on the Institutes of International Law, but that's Institutes of American Law, excerpt from number 199, chapter 3. Line 2, that don't ever forget this, Moors. Noble Drew Ali said you're of one family bearing one free national appellation or one free national name, but we know the refinement, all right? So with the being the one family with the one free national appellation, keep this in mind. Like, study these things when they're talking about authority, government, and things like that, because maybe they've been negligent. Maybe they've retarded their children. So the idea of somebody traveling at 15 might be foreign to them because they grew up vassals. They grew up in a slave mind, a slave mentality. They were mentally enslaved, and they still haven't broken those bonds of slavery. So when you talking about 15-year-olds traveling, it sounds foreign. But other nations, that's the norm. This is what gives them the opportunity to compete far more advanced than our children, because their parents who, are claiming to be new Moors, they got children that's 20-plus years old, but they stepping out like they're new Moors, okay, have had a retarded or a slave mentality, and they've passed that on to the children so they can't envision that. You know what I mean? But again, that's not giving them a fair shot in certain aspects, because other nations do that. They teach their children the necessities early. So by the time they turn 14, they like mentally 21. They got the experience of a 21-year-old who graduated at 18, at 14, other nations of this earth right now. So
right now,
this goes to the home right now, though. You feel what I'm saying? Right now, there's nations of the earth who are on it like that. You know what I mean? Children at 12 dropping the load off in the Mack truck, though. So it's like, it's crazy out here, man. But it goes to show, no matter how much charisma they try to speak with or anything like that, know that these people do not represent Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because if you say you have a nationality, that's something that distinguishes you. On its own merit, your nationality makes you distinct from other nations, meaning that when you come in contact with other nations, international law is already in effect. It's already on the table. So I want to read this because, remind you, I just want to close out and recap this 2016 Gregorian calendar strong, bro. Principles of nationality and birthright, moving forward. So, like, those who may be confused, I'm not sleeping on anybody, but, it's sad that, you got people who are left back who, since anybody can make a channel now, unfortunately, they're able to infiltrate in the digital world. But international law, International law, this is the definition of international law. You can reference your Webster's Unabridged Dictionary, 1936, and don't let anybody downplay, the knowledge or the wisdom you'll receive from a dictionary, whether it be unabridged or out of a law dictionary, because this is where a lot of knowledge is at. This is where a lot of things have been kept from you. So when they say that these things don't have authority and things like that, no, you got to remember, jurisdiction means right words. So please don't block yourself from accumulating knowledge on words. And etymology, that is an excuse that the slaves used to use not to read. All they knew was, we ain't got to read. We just pick cotton. We're going to get whipped if we read anyway, so let's just pick this cotton. Don't let them pass that mentality off to you, whether they claiming to be Moors, attorneys, etc. Don't let them get that off on you. Study, you know what I mean? Study. Get your words up. Get your etymology, jurisdiction. Get that right. You might be able to say something that freezes a magistrate based off of the words you've learned, or whoever it is. You might, your own contracts, you know what I'm saying? Because they use that excuse too. They talking semantics, you know what I mean? This, that, the third. No, fam. When it comes time, if you got to draw up a contract, your knowledge and being indulged in the dictionaries will help you bring that, to manifestation for the cleanest and clearest intentions for the record, if you need be do that, or to have to comprehend one. So again, don't let anybody use the Negro-minded or slave-minded excuse of dictionaries don't mean anything. No, there's a lot of jewels in there that if you just sit down with for a while, it'll help change your mind, free your mind, things like that. So international law from Webster's Unabridged Dictionary, page 886, definition of international, right? And international just means inter means other, national means nations. So international law, the law of nations, those maxims or rules which independent political societies or states observe or ought to observe in their conduct toward one another. International law embraces the principles that regulate the conduct of states toward each other, the principles that should regulate the rights and obligations of private parties arising out of the conduct of states to each other, and the principles that should regulate the rights and obligations of private parties when they are affected by the separate internal codes of distinct nations. The Pilgrims already showed you they had black codes and things of that nature. So if y'all want to come up under the laws that are descendant of that, that's your choice. Just admit your Moriscos. Don't claim to rep Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Don't ask us what more science is when you got the red flag with the green 5-pointed star at the center behind you. And Noble Drew Ali told you that those 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when we're talking about the right, the birthright to travel, you're acting like it's something that isn't linear or connected to what Noble Drew Ali was talking about with freedom. You know what I mean? So we're in a new day, new century, quote unquote, and we're still under the same cosmological age, the sun age. However, it's just birthrights we're not going to waive. I also wanted to get into this maxims, because this is for those who might be confused. All right, so maxims have been divided as to their origin into 3 classes, one being Roman. Remember, municipal means Roman, so Moors, keep this in mind. International law is always on the table when you deal with these people. So maxims have been divided as to their origin into 3 classes. 1 is Roman, 2 is Roman modified, 3 is indigenous, all right? And the reference is John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia of Law, Francis Rawley's Third Revision. So, there's different laws or maxims and rules and international laws between the indigenous people and the Romans or the Pilgrims in the land of America. Don't forget that. Know thyself. Know what that means. All right? So, since they like to talk about, quote-unquote, New Jersey a lot, this is a case law from there. Dela Cruz versus Borough of Hillsdale, 838 A2D 498, NJ Appellate Division, 2004. It says, in a free society, a citizen has the right to move about unburdened by unreasonable government restrictions. A deprivation of this right is rendered legally compensable when it results from the unlawful acts of quote-unquote government agents, such as police officers. It goes on to say, to conclude otherwise will convert the civil right into an empty promise. And again, that's Dela Cruz versus Borough of Hillsdale. So this goes back to your right to travel. Why would a license be an unreasonable restriction? Is because, number one, when it comes to identity, it doesn't define you. It never did. When you look at the all caps, that has never been you. That's not a sovereign citizen argument. That's the science of the seven, the circle seven, and the ramifications thereof, because you're talking, or we're talking, the seven liberal arts. So grammar being one of them, when you're talking about the language and identity, all right, and you cast something down to written form in all capital letters, we're talking one of the seven liberal arts. Knowing yourself, your status, your identity, that is more science. So when you see the all capital letters, it's only the wise who will be able to catch or distinguish the fact that that instrument is valid or invalid on its own merit as far as identifying you. So there's more science all in the right to travel situation. There's more science in being in your own proper person. There's more science in disclaiming the nom de guerre because of the fact that it is an all capital letter construct. Y'all could say, oh, that's sovereign citizen. That's deflection. That doesn't change the fact that that is the fact that all capital letters never can or will actually identify a natural being. So where's the more science? It's on the face. Prima facie, just on the surface you can see you're dealing with more science. So once you know that, you get that grammatical lesson, right? And you know that, oh, this is ramifications of Circle 7 philosophy. We're talking about grammar. We're talking about my identity, spelling, right? Again, that's another more science because Prince showed you, again, I got to emphasize that he got in his proper person using a hieroglyph. That's more science. So, again, you know what I mean? Like, you got to understand that for somebody to expect you to claim to be a misrepresentation of you is unreasonable. Like, a child can distinguish those grammatical flaws, regardless of how bad, you know, the European wants to keep you in subject status. You know, it's sad enough they're even taking those lessons out of schools now, which is why, again, Moors need their own institutions of learning. Shout out to, or big acknowledgement to RV Bay Publications for having the online university. And these clowns we don't even know what they was doing. Where was they? Like, we don't know. You know what I mean? So my thing is, don't ever try to come out the woods like RV Bay has been around 10 years, and we've been talking this 20 years, and nobody, y'all had 100-year run, fam. Like, let's be for real about it. And that's no slight to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because he recognized it was sellouts on the scene while he was alive. Before he passed, he realized that this was going on. So here we go, 100 years later, and you see, that same energy is out there. But in the name of trying to get a rep up, he could sell his book that's coming soon, okay? So don't be confused about what you're seeing. You're seeing has-beens who are trying to be relevant in all due respect to all of those who are older in class, that classic age, that classic class, you know what I'm saying? But you know, and those who've gained wisdom throughout many years, etc. There's no disrespect to that, but you're not going to come out the blue like, you know, nobody has done nothing. When you just came out your cave and you're asking what is light, homie, look around, you know what I mean? There's been Moors who have been frontlining this for a minute, and you wouldn't even be relevant if that wasn't the case. So, and you're really still not relevant. So I'm going to leave it on this. I'm going to end it on this, right? So in the free society, a citizen has the right to move about unburdened by unreasonable governmental restrictions. So again, we can conclude that through reason, the so-called driver's license, reasonable restriction as far as your right to travel or your personal liberty and things of that nature. I'm not saying that challenges do not exist. I'm saying that it is unreasonable to say, yeah, or expect somebody to have to agree to the fact that they're misrepresented in all capital letters. You know what I mean? Because reason is one of the highest, brightest lights. You know what I mean? So there you have it. Another thing I wanted to add on, this is again from the John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law, Book of Things, number 441. It says the general convenience requires that all highways should belong to the public. Now keep in mind that the Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, guarantees a Republican form of government. All right? So this is constitutional law, not the law for those who want to acquiesce, accept the defeat or conquerism from pilgrims. Like, don't get it twisted because they put on the fez that they're free and they're really about more science. Like, don't ever be confused by what you see on the screen. Like, the substance, the essence is what you need to pay attention to. So, the general convenience requires that all highways should belong to the public and that no one should appropriate to his own use such highway to the inconvenience of the people. A highway is the generic name for all kinds of roads. They are universally laid out by public, not private, authority and repaired at the expense or by direction of law. All right? A road or highway is a passage through a country or some part of it for the use of the people. All right? So in all constitutional law, if you look back at the establishment, it tells you that all authority is in the people. So where did the acquiescence come in at? These people are scared to be free. Don't let them tell you they rep Noble Drew Ali, and don't let anybody say that, you know, keep you stuck in the matrix of the illusion of freedom as far as, you know, well, you know, I ain't got no ball and chain on my ankle, so I'm free. Like, yo, really, fam, it's multiple levels to that. Because, again, you know, if you go to purchase a quote-unquote house right now, they'll be trying to charge you for a lifetime. That's not freedom. So my thing is, you know, those who want to acquiesce, that's on them. We're going to continue to stand on nationality and birthright. And acknowledgement to everybody who has supported, will continue to support, defend the honor. I hope nobody is really confused by this, I would say, agent in short form. So with that being said, Kujo, I yield the floor back over to you for now. Islam?
Islam, Noble.
Indeed.
Only really to add on before we go to the calls is keep in mind that, you know, we have a track record. You know what I mean? And the works speak. And the good one that Ms. brought up is they got a book coming out. So this is their whole campaign. What's it called? It's called Yellow Journalism. Called Yellow Journalism. Do your research on yellow journalism so you know how these quote-unquote media, journalists, whoever's, they put out. Yellow journalism. And who's a student of yellow journalism? Oprah. Right?
Word.
And keep in mind, Oprah comes from Orpah, who went opposite of Ruth, who was Moabite. And once you go opposite of the birthright, the only thing that they have to get is fame. Because they don't want to give him his credit. They want props. They want to get recognized. They want to be the ones to do something. And then looking at the people who have been doing stuff, like we just came yesterday doing stuff. You know?
Right.
Like there's a track record. You know what I mean? Go to, where were they in 2005 when Great Seal Morris Science Temple, Grand Chief Nature El Bay, sued Asbury Park, everybody. Where were they during those times? Where were they then talking about sovereign citizen Moors? How come they weren't around back then talking BS like they're talking today? And then that's in the record. You can just go check the record. You know what I mean? That they denied the lawsuit and all that stuff because diversity and they don't have jurisdiction and all that like that. And then Moor Science Temple, these same talk BS about Moors are looking at it like, oh, see, they lost. The sovereignty stuff doesn't work or whatever. When the freaking judge came out and told them that he doesn't have jurisdiction, that's why it's denied. That's why they dismissed it. Which is the whole point, that they don't have jurisdiction. Because we're Moorish American. It's in the Noble Drew Ali said it straight, and then CMB said it straight, putting it in the Library of Congress that we're Moorish American. Now and the Zodiac Constitution and all that, putting the history in there, so they know that they don't have jurisdiction. This is not something that we just found out right now we're Moors. People, there's a track record. And just like Ms. was asking the question, you know, the real question is, where's all the stuff that Noble Drew Ali had, and how come y'all didn't upkeep the stuff?
Yeah.
Where's all these fine buildings that they used to have Moroccan or Moorish costume balls at and stuff like that? Where's the community centers and the manufacturing companies and the printing presses and all that stuff that was in the Moorish movement when Noble Drew Ali was around? 100 years later, you're going to say, yeah, we rep Noble Drew Ali. Okay, well, if you rep him, where's all the stuff? You know what I mean? Because if everybody's beneficiary, you know, right now we're at the gates with the torches and the pitchforks and stuff like that outside. You know, because you guys been playing king of the castle this whole time while people out here suffering or whatever, and now people start talking up about it. Now you're all of a sudden putting books out and you're billing stuff. And where were y'all in 2005? We didn't hear about y'all in 2005 billing anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? When we were bringing Alim Bey out here to Toronto in 2006, this is as black guys, black power, metaphysical guys. We brought Alim Bey here on, not on some Moorish whatever, on some metaphysics, and he did a metaphysics lecture and just touched on Moors a little bit so we could, you know, get dipped in the juice little. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a track record of how we came up in this, and we didn't come up under the flunkies of Morris Science Temple. Like
Word.
we didn't come up under the people who are still around today that, you know, they've been Grand Sheik for 40 years and they have one book that they wrote. We come up under the people of Morris Science Temple who told us that, you know, study etymology. Why? Because when you look up science, if we say that this is Morris science, when you look up science, it means to know, which means the only way you're going to know is if you study.
That's it. That's it.
So when they say Morris science, they're saying Morris study. Why? Because Morris Science Temple, Morris Study Temple, is really a school. Because science is really study. Science isn't really science.
It's knowledge, Gnostic wisdom.
Science is wisdom,
The gnosis.
knowing.
Yeah, the gnosis, the Gnostics. They must be crazy out here right now. Real talk.
Right.
The Gnostics,
Expertness.
bro.
So you have to study if you're saying you're representing Morris Science Temple or not. Because everything that we're studying is Morris science or Morris study, Morris knowledge, Morris wisdom.
Yeah.
But this is not something that can be given to you. That's why, you know, again, on a weekend, just got off the bus, got picked up at the bus station, went to go see the Moors who were calling themselves Grand Body because of the fraud that was going on in the Grand Body. And they're like, forget this fraud. We're adepts and stuff like that. We're going to be the Grand Body. Forget these Moors. They're tripping. And these Moors had Mecca at this time on lockdown. Had their own plates, all that stuff. All that right to travel stuff people are talking against. Moors were doing it in 2007, 2008, 2009. Where were they? How come they weren't talking about, they don't recognize right to travel back then? Where were they? Nowhere to be found. And these Moors put us on to what being a Moor really is. That this is birthright, that you can have, you know what I mean? You get picked up at the airport by somebody, you know what I mean? And then they're going to take you to the temple, and then when you go to the temple, it's not church or whatever like that. You can go in the back, have a shower, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The temple where we went to, when we came there, they had a shower in the back.
That was really good.
Right? They had a shower at the temple for when visitors come, that they could have a shower after they get off their flight, whatever like that. You know what I mean? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And these people talking crazy about what have we built. That's our foundation. Morris Science Temple with showers. Find me one right now that has at least that in it. A little cot for you to sleep in the back if need be. Just because this is more than just some place come worship Noble Drew Ali.
Right.
It really is birthright. Even the thing called Morris Science Temple of America is really about birthrights. It's not this club thing that these guys been portraying it as.
Yeah.
People have to jump through hoops telling them about warrant of authority so they can get a charter. We never got no warrant of authority. They straight gave us the charter like, yo, here's the charter. We didn't have no warrant of authority or nothing like that. So anybody
that's because they play in Masonic Lodge with the Moorish Science Temple
right?
of America. That's
exactly.
because they play in Masonic Lodge with the Moorish Science Temple of America, and that's what's happening in certain ones. You know what I'm saying? And that's facts, yo. Real talk.
And
that's what they're doing.
And that's what I'm finding out with them playing this thing with the title, with the Grand Sheik title and the charter and stuff like that. I'm like, how come you guys all of a sudden are, you know what I mean? Because there has to be higher people that don't really like what they don't like the fact that we have a charter with the right seals according to, Emilio body and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can't really take it because their signature is not on it, their autograph's not on it, but they could kind of claim jurisdiction, because it is Morris Science Temple, and, they do have a claim, but really, they don't have a claim,
Yeah.
and they're really upset that, we're doing the same thing like what Grand Sheik Nature did.
Word.
Taking what Noble Drew Ali brought and adding the constitutional and the law and stuff to it. That's what they don't like. That's why they're mad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because just like we're saying, these are the individuals who are Morris Science Temple of America Church. They're not going to stand up to highwaymen.
Yo,
they're not the ones that. Yeah, they're not the ones that Noble Drew Ali said about defend this to the utmost of your very life.
Mm.
Like they're not those ones that he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
They're not putting their life on the line for this.
Right. These were the ones who chose to stay in Spain as Moriscos and give up Islam.
Right. Right.
In a historical aspect. When it was that year, it was like, yo, look, y'all got a year. If y'all going to stay here, you're going to live up under these Christian conditions. And if y'all not, just go this way. But if you do, this is what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? And some of them was like, we turning Christian. Do I need to take the oath on the Bible? Like, and then there was others who was like, we control this dominion from the outside then. You know what I mean? So we'll move on and went into France and did what they had to do. You know what I mean? In other places. But, that's what it is. And I don't mean to cut your wisdom, but that's what it is, bro. It's like people like, yo, we here, we come from there, but we're going to accept the Christian law. Because remind you, there's two parties in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that are distinguished, which would be the Moors and the Christian powers. So I don't know how they forgot that they're talking about the same people who issue a driver's license are Christian power. I'm not knocking you if you have one. I'm just saying that keep that in mind. So if a Moor says, I don't want nothing from the Christian nations. Birthright. You know what I mean? Not only secured by the treaty, but by the Constitution, the Ninth Amendment, First Amendment, things like that. So good, y'all. I want to explain something too, and I don't want to cut you off, but I wanted to leave them with this on the recap on our last show for this year. You know what I'm saying? This Gregorian time chart, which they jacked from Moors again. You know what I mean? But Institutes of American Law, the preliminary book, number 10, it goes in on the law of nations. And it says the law of nations is a system of rules deducible by human reason from the immutable principles of natural justice, fam, and established by universal consent among the civilized nations of the earth, meaning you have to consent, you know what I mean, to something foreign with different nations. There has to be a consent, and it told you in the Declaration of Independence that those governments derive their authority from the consent of the governed. So the consent of the people is what makes the difference, you know what I mean? And I paraphrase that. It might not have been from the, but it did say by the consent of the governed, but I don't know if it said derive their authority, but something to that effect, and I'll make sure I quote that right. But let me finish with this. It says, in order to decide all disputes, and to ensure the observance of good faith and justice, and that intercourse which must frequently occur between them, or it depends upon mutual compacts treaties, leagues, and agreements between separate, mind you, separate, free, and independent communities, all right? Free and independent communities. Some of you may not have mustered that courage to step into that, and I get it, you know what I mean? But just don't say that you are repping Noble Drew Ali and RV Bay is not. That's not a fact. It's definitely not truthful in any aspect. Because, again, this is talking about the law of nations. It says the law of nations has, just gentium, has of late years been called international law. Nations with regard to each other are considered as individuals, and the law of nations is to regulate the difference which may exist between them in their national capacity, all right? Emphasis on the fact of national capacity. So this is what the law of nations are for. If you're not going to operate in your national capacity, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I'm Moorish American. Now my name is Taharka Bey, and that's it. Like, no, homie. You know what I mean? Are you operating in your national capacity, not under a corporate jurisdiction? Like, where do you stand without the Pilgrim Society, basically? Not that it's not, you know, things that have to happen or that does happen with them, but when you're talking about national capacity and understanding that there's a difference between Moors and the Europeans, you understand that in national, if you're claiming a nationality and you're flying a national flag behind you in the United States banner or the Star-Spangled Banner, it's not a flag, only the red flag with the green five-pointed star. If you're flying that flag as a national or as a nation, and you should know these laws of nations and that there's a clear diversity between us. If you've acquiesced, stay over there with your acquiescence. That's your choice. But all Moors don't have to do that. And like I said, for those Moors who are just finding out about this and are transitioning, there's a lot of people who went through those phases. You know what I mean? Keep studying. Keep fortifying yourself through the knowledge, through the Gnostics, through the science, through you know, study. That's the bottom line. You know, if you're not studying law, international law, because, you know, they act like we only study from one law book and, you know, this is only in the Black's Law Dictionary and all of this here. And this is substantiated in multiple law books. And mind you, some of this information was on the scene when the Prophet was on the scene. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that is, or El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, respecting his, you know, free national appellation and titles. So my thing is, if we're a nation, we need to always consider these things. So again, I'm going to bring that back. Nations with regard to each other are considered as individuals, and the law of nations is to regulate the differences which may exist between them in their national capacity. That even goes down to the identification that's in your pocket, because a Chinaman is not going to have the same identification card in China as a German would in Germany. There's a difference between them, all right? They have different nationalities, so things are not going to be the same. The problem is people have acquiesced again or you know, went into that 14th Amendment status, if you will, as U.S. citizens, not as American citizens. Emphasis on U.S. citizens. So they say they are in a state of nature and must be considered as so many free and independent persons living in that state, and therefore the rules of natural law are to be applied to them. This is talking about nations, the rules of natural law. And again, this is the Institutes of American Law. It says international law is generally divided into two branches, because remind you, Moors, whenever you're talking to pilgrims, international law is on the table. It's not necessarily just, you know, something that's going on across the great Atlantic that substantiates international law. is wherever you're at dealing with a diversity of, nationality. It's international law on the table. So international law is generally divided into two branches. The natural law of nations, consisting of rules of justice applicable to the conduct of states. The positive law of nations, which consists, and mind you, this is saying nations, which consists of the voluntary law of nations, derived from the presumed consent of nations, arising out of their general usage. The conventional law of nations derived from the express consent of nations as individuals, as evidenced in treaties and other international contracts or compacts. The customary law of nations, which is a tacit consent to certain rules which have been observed by them. The law of nations has been divided by writers into necessary or voluntary, or into absolute or arbitrary, or primary and secondary. So when it says that they've been divided into necessary or voluntary, some people travel by right to travel out of necessity, and that is a birthright. Some people volunteer to, get whatever instrument they're going to get from the state or whatever. That's voluntary, but you're not going to act like those who are traveling with their right to travel, birthrights, nationality card, right to travel card, all of that are outside of some, national laws. Maybe because they're still slave-minded, they can't relate to the law of nations, all right, and the autonomy and things of that nature that go with that. Maybe their allegiance is still to the Pilgrims. Who knows? But that being said, man, I just want more to specifically remember that as far as when they're talking about the right to travel, nationality cards, all of these things. This is international law, family. So if they're not going in like that, they're not going in like that. You know what I mean? They're just not. So there's nothing wrong with us for doing what we do, what we have done. I've traveled many places, behind the wheel, just with my right to travel card. You know what I mean? And I'll never take any of that back. Straight up. No quote unquote driving instrument. Just with my right to travel card. In the honor and in the aura of knowing I had the right to travel. I'm talking 6-hour trips. You know what I'm saying? 6-hour trips to the mountains and back behind the wheel. So, I'm talking about traveling over 200, 300 miles, all right, with right to travel. Like, that's just where I was at and am at with it. So I don't know, where they was at with it then or now, but I just know that, and again, big acknowledgement as well to Dr. Sabian in concluding out this last year's broadcast, because he said something real when they asked him about that passport, and he asked him, is it African? And of course the answer was no, and of course his answer was, why would I have one then? I respect that to the day I transition and beyond, because that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Like that right there, that statement right there is national mindset. You know what I mean? So I respect that. If y'all, again, like I said, want to acquiesce the Pilgrim Rule, Pilgrim Society, okay, y'all are Moriscos. It's nothing new in history. You know what I mean? How many people said, that those who were going in for their freedom back then were crazy and, all of these different things, etc. And then when they achieved the goal, it was like, oh, yeah, but y'all chose to stay on the plantation. And again,
Right.
It's like this, man. The movie Django always put it in perspective, because at the end, when he opened up the gate for the quote-unquote slaves or the brothers who were enslaved, they would not move. They wouldn't move, yo. They wanted to stay in the cage. So, again, but all you could do is open the gate, and again, from that point, and the master that they were scared of was dead already. He already took him out. and they still were scared to move. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, all you could do is open up the gate. If they want to stay in the cage, that's their choice. Big acknowledgement to Canaanland Moors. You know, big acknowledgement, of course, RV Bay Publications, all MHHS platforms, all everybody, you know, who's ever nationality and birthrights, not from the Morisco perspective that you see going on with Harker Bay, et cetera. You know what I mean? Not that. So, real, like, national mind thoughts, you know. So, it is what it is, man, and I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, the phone call. Should I explain the lineage of how that happens? Because I don't know if you want to talk about that, or should we just leave that off the table?
All right, that's it. Yeah, we don't have to. We're not going to waste our time.
Okay. All right. That true indeed. Yeah, bro. That's just what it is, you know. Again, shout out to everybody who did say they was trying to work towards unity, but you know, it's always been a distinguishment between those in the slave mentality who wanted to prescribe to the rules of the plantation and those that were free, all right, and live by their own will, you know, and in disrespect, didn't mean no disrespect to anybody, but, you know, I know it was always those voluntary slaves in the field who was looking at like, yo, who is that? What make them feel like they can? And it's like, no, you can too. You're just choosing to be in that position. So, you know, what works for you works for you. What works for others works for others. So, you know, I'll leave it at that. You know, and I wasn't even going to bring this up, but again, you're still talking crazy. So, you know, it is what it is. But that being said, more, yeah, real talk. So, anything you want to add? Yeah, it's some hands up.
Yeah,
all right,
let's see what the hands are saying. So that way, you know, because that way it's not just us. You know what I'm saying? Because
exactly.
people play victim and stuff like that. So, you know,
we'll
take some calls and see what's
right. Yeah, I just want to say this too, not to even get into the blame thing, but just for the record, when RV Bay put that post on RV Bay Publications, that was a response to a slander. So nobody started that over here. Nobody. So I'm just saying, you know, don't play, like you were saying, don't play victim. Let's just keep that clear. We never, you know, went around starting anything. Y'all stay in y'all lane. We're going to stay in ours. If you don't fit in, do what you're doing. Keep us out your mouth. With that being said, we're going to go to the callers, bro. All right. All right, so caller 412-969. You're live on the air. You with us, fam?
Islam family. This is Energy L, Northwest of Mexico.
Islam.
Appreciate you all putting out there what you've been putting out there, and I would like to put some light on the one call that I had watched that Cujo had called in on for one of them weirdos. And he kept saying, you know, what are y'all building? What are y'all building? And I kept screaming at the monitor, Cujo, tell them you're building libraries. You feel what I'm saying? You're doing what one of the things the prophet said must be done in order to change the people's minds. You have to change the literature, and that the library in your home is just as important as your kitchen. So when you get to ask them what are, you know, RV Bay Publication is doing or building, it's building libraries by providing the information to the people in their homes so they can do for themselves and their children. That, I mean, talk about these buildings and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, no, we're not there. We got to study first. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What you going to say? You got a building, but yet you paying taxes on the building. Taxes to who? You know, you got a building, but yet you use fiat to get it. we're not doing buildings, but we can at least change the literature, and that's what RV Bay has been doing, and providing this free information or providing this information out there at no cost. The only thing you have to invest is your time. And yes, there is literature to be had at this site, and I was just screaming like, you talk about where's the buildings, what have y'all built, what have y'all, dude, you must have missed it. They're building libraries out here for the family. Because I know I got a lot of the publications that came out of, that beautiful institution called RV Bay Publication. So, and it's almost beneficial, and anyone that has ever come and visited me and has taken and picked up any one of the pamphlets and read through them, one, they're amazed at the information that has been revealed to them, and they're like in awe that this information is true and exact, because once they read one thing, then I'll go out there and I'll pull up more research for them just so they can see, and they're like, wow, did not even know this. Like I was out one day at one of these little stores, and my nephew walked in, and I was talking to the ladies behind the counter, which they're already familiar with me. And, again, you all know I've been operating without any so-called instruments because it is a mindset. I am who I say I am. The prophet said, teach us to be ourselves, and I've been that ever since it's been revealed to me. So he's in there with me, and we were talking about the non-obligatory tax status, and the one lady was new, so she wasn't familiar how to do it, and the other lady came up and she greeted me and so forth and so on. My nephew came in, hey, Auntie Anna, and like, greetings, we're sitting there talking about it, and then the lady's asking me questions concerning, the matter, well, why is it that you're, not taxable, and I explained to her, because I'm in my proper person, and I'm the original, and then I said aboriginal, and that you would see me as Indian, but I'm not Indian. I'm Moorish American. That's my nationality. Therefore, I'm in my proper person, and I'm not to be taxed. And my nephew's standing there, and he's not quite clear what's going on. So we go through the process, and I leave. And I was like, you need a ride, because I didn't even know he was domiciling around here. He's like, yeah. He was like, Auntie Anna, so you don't pay no taxes. I said, you're not supposed to. He said, what do you mean? I showed him the receipt, and it says, tax exempt on there. I said, because as a natural person, and this is being your ancestral estate, they are your house guests. You can't be paying tribute to them. They need to be paying it to you. But because we have fallen and we're not operating in our proper persons, that's why things are so jacked up. But for me out here, this is how I operate, and I won't let anything, get in the way of that. And I don't have anything to state that this is that other than me. So it's not a matter of paperwork. And I know a lot of people is running around here thinking that the paperwork is going to make them a Moor, and that's crazy. Now, addressing the MST of A, and it's kind of sad how it's been broke down, but as far as what RV Bay is doing, as the Moorish Divine and National Movement that was founded by the prophet, starting with the Canaanite temple, and then elevating to the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, which was the civic organization. So for any Moor out there to say that the prophet was not about that is obviously unstudied. And then it went into, and as you all spoke on, to the Moorish Science Temple of America, the religious organizations for those who could not get that church-mindedness out of themselves, but at least get them in the position where they can at least declare their nationality, at least say you're a Moor, and don't call yourself Negro, especially in those days. That was the terminology for the Moor then. But this is the time that we're in now, and for these Moors that's coming on the scene, still trying to acquiesce, calling themselves black power, things of this nature. I mean, you can only see it, as I said before on other calls, it's just lower self-operation. That's all that is, because when the prophet says study, and when you found yourself, studied well, and you asked me what should I study next, I would say study yourself, because after you've studied all the information or a lot of information out there, when you go into study yourself, you'll see how that applies, and you'll see how if you're operating in your lower self or your higher self. When I travel out here, I am not concerned with if I'm going to be accosted by a highwayman. I've already experienced that, and I've stood on my square then. Yeah, they still stole my property. They sure did. But, again, I already know that my claim is greater when I do all my knowledge up strong enough to even put the claim in, which will I do it? Well, time will tell, because that's material things in – oh, I'm saying night-night. Okay, night-night, baby. Rest easy. So with that being said, I'm not concerned about, the material things. Right now I'm concerned about, am I operating from my highest self? And that's all I really care about at this time. I need to make sure that I'm in alignment with the cosmos so I can continue to build the things that's going to be necessary and beneficial for myself and my offspring. Therefore, my nation will, be growing strong. And because I am mother, the work is getting done. You see the nation is lifting up. No, not all mothers is getting it, but that's okay. As long as there's mothers out here like myself that's got this, this is just what we breathe. We are the ancient Moabite revisited as the Moorish American today. And if your mindset is there's not anything that can really, there's no real opposition out here. When you see folks trying to talk against those things that are most beneficial for your growth, you see them for the fools that they are. That's all that is. I won't even call them agents. Agents of what? Lower self? Okay, well, be that. I'm not going to indulge in it, and I appreciate you all addressing those individuals that are attempting to slander. It's only an attempt because when the people do the math, they'll see the contribution that RV Bay Publications has contributed since its, founding versus those so-called leaders of the institution that the noble prophet had established, the MST of A. And what have they done, as you all say, in the 100 years that it was left in their hands? When I came on the scene with my eyes wide open coming into the temple here, Cujo, you already know this. I came in and I asked them the first thing, how do I put my children in the school? They told me they don't do that there. And I had already known from just the little studying that I had been doing that that's what the temples were supposed to have. And I'm like, okay, so when I got a little further, and I'm like, well, how do I, when I accepted my membership card, it's like, okay, how do I put my car in the temple's name? Oh, we don't do that here. So once again, that proved that they were not about civics. And then later on down the road, I found out they were 501c3. And it's kind of sad because this is like one of the founders. It ain't no like, this is, in this territory, this is one of the original temples that the prophet established when he was on the scene. And how far it has gone. And it's like it is in the center of the area of this particular territory that is saturated with Moors. And they don't know they're Moors. But you had your experience when you came here and what happened when you went and knocked on the door there. First of all, it's a nondescript building. I'm pretty sure they're renting it. And they wouldn't let you all in. I mean, come on now, what are we doing here? But see, RV Bay Publication, any and everybody can access it. Doesn't matter what your national standing is, what walk of life you come from. You can access RV Bay Publication, and you can go through each and every page that is available there, and you cannot find anything that is not right and exact. So for anybody to be trying to counteract what the RV Bay is about, it's just magnifying what the lower self actually does on this plane. And if we are not clear about it right now, then yeah. And I really feel that more mothers need to be speaking up, and I appreciate that I've been asked to be a part of the Women's National Auxiliary. Because, I need to be knowing what's going on in this area, finding out, what these municipal council plan on doing in the area where I domicile, because there's so many abandoned properties. There's a lot of open space where community gardens could be, established, so forth and so on, because we got to start feeding ourselves. There's too much land out here for us to be going hungry. And we can't be going to these grocery stores feeding us GMOs and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I appreciate Sons of Allah. I appreciate Sisters Standing on the Law. I appreciate, Principles of Nationality, and I appreciate the Morris Heritage School on Wednesday. I appreciate all that, and you all have been doing this for years. Years. So for anybody to be trying to talk smack, I mean, come on, man. Like you said, Miz, and I can see why you be flipping because that's your mom. She started that, And like you said, there's places where you ain't going to get to walk away from saying some old, slander says, fuck around and find yourself in a dumpster somewhere. But anyway, I appreciate y'all operating on those principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and mainly love, because you can't be coming at people's raises acting like you going to walk away with your jaw intact. I mean, come on. Right. Who y'all playing with here? But I'm going to go ahead and yield the floor, but I appreciate what y'all
got
doing. Y'all always been here for me. I appreciate that.
It's really good. Islam, peace and love, Sister Energy. Thanks for chiming in. Indeed. Cool. That being said, call it 719-964.
Greetings. This is Brother Bukhari Bottle Bay calling from Northwest of Maxim.
Peace, Noble.
Peace, Islam. Peace, Islam. Honor to the panel. Honors to the All Creator. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Thank you so much for the show. And I just wanted to call. I make a brief statement. I don't have a question. And my statement is in reference to these individuals who have been raising a lot of dust lately, and or trying to, and in reference to them wanting to apologize. And so I just wanted to address that concept quickly and briefly, and just bring a few points to the attention of the masses, for consideration, and also for the record. And that is some of the activity that these individuals were involved in were things like slander, indulging in this system called social media, and utilizing it to cause confusion. And some people will say, well, Brother Bukhari, that's just a supposition, or that's just hearsay or whatnot. Well, who did they try to contact? Who did they try to sit down with and establish some sort of communication? Like what letter did they send to someone to say, you're in wrong, and we're going to correct you, or we want to, address this issue, or we want to talk about this issue, because that's the way Moors do things. Moors don't just, open their mouths and start accusing people of things. That's how mature people do things. In a society that is based on law. Right now, true, we're under occupation, and we don't control certain issues. But in doing the right thing, we also have to respond to these types of situations. Now, I feel with let's say a good bit of certainty that if they are truly sincere about something that RV Bay Publications did, or someone else did, or a group of individuals have been doing, like many of the points that were made, I will echo. Like many of the points that were made earlier, I can echo. Like they would have been saying things years ago. if they have certain affiliations to a given Moorish Science Temple of America, then they would have a drafting of documents and, bringing it to the attention and wanting to have people charged. Because though I am not a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I strongly recognize that institution, based on the research that I have done, operated in a way in which records have to be kept. If there's ever a grievance in any jurisdiction by any member of a Moorish Science Temple, it has to be put in writing. And if it's not being put in writing, then that means that there is no issue or somebody hasn't taken the time, because these things have to be addressed. So these individuals brought up behavior that is treasonous. So they charged people, they literally charged people with causing the death of this woman, Corinne Gaines, and others. They literally charged RV Bay Publications with what's that term? And I'm losing my focus here just a bit. Where you not slander, but where you covet somebody else's material and then you reproduce it as your own. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. What you talking
what's
about?
That,
plagiarizing?
Plagiarism. Yeah, plagiarism.
Oh, okay.
And so they.
But
now,
there's
I'm not
nothing
referring to
plagiarized from RV Bay Publications. Nothing at all.
Right.
There's
But what I'm
nothing
saying
plagiarized
is,
on.
right, and I totally agree with that. But what I'm saying is that when you are functioning an organization that requires that you take minutes, that you have a grievance, and that you function in such a way that you follow certain internal protocols from any national institution, whether church is involved or not, minutes have to be taken, issues have to be brought forth in an official manner. And these things just have not been exemplified by their position, by the things that they've said, how they use social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what am I saying? I'm sorry.
Just to quickly interject, remember that just like you're saying, following the protocols of writing, right? These are the same individuals that are from different quote-unquote bodies of the Moorish movement who know that this even happened before with using paperwork to address the issue, right? There's letters from Neely Ill to Kirtland Day and to Givens L and all these people trying to pretend like, Noble Drawley didn't leave things in order, and then people are doing stuff out of order, right?
Right.
So just with writing exact about what you're saying, that these individuals that are making it seem like, we're the ones that attack them and stuff like that, they have a protocol that's been around since 1920s of you do your stuff in writing.
Yeah.
Right? If it's really that much of an issue. Right?
That's right.
But continue on more. Sorry for interrupting you.
Right. And so what I'm saying here, is go ahead, Miss.
No, my fault. Not to cut your wisdom, Brother Bakar. But keep in mind, too, these are the same people that when Seti came out and said that the Circle 7 Holy Quran, Noble Drawley plagiarized, they was charged with that. I don't recall or know of any of them coming to the forefront except a few more that are on this line right now. to rebut that. So, like, again, what are they talking about? You know what I mean? Where was you at when that was going down? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know that we're here in the now, but I'm just saying, again, like Coach Joe was saying, there's a track record. So when that was going on, you know what I mean? So even though Ali has been accused of that, and these people didn't speak up. So, you know.
Exactly. And that's what I was getting to. The reason why we send out documents, it's because we recognize that there has to be a track record. Like, you just can't, be 52 years of age or 20 years of age or 30 years of age and say, hey, I am a Moor, or I have proclaimed, and declared my nationality, because you've been a Moor all your life. You just didn't know about it because of our history and because of things that aren't being taught in schools. But my point is when you send out documents, is now you're putting people on notice. You're not asking them for permission. You're putting them on notice to say, look, this is who I am, because that is a process in law that you are required to do. Now, you don't have to, do it, but if you are going to speak on behalf of the Moorish nation or the Moorish Divine and National Movement, then you should be one who has something at stake here. Like, you should be one who has done those types of things. But what I'm saying is that, like, you have individuals who will make lengthy, and I just had to deal with this yesterday. You have individuals who will make all kinds of assertions. They'll say all kinds of wonderful things. They'll take quotes from the prophet, and they'll put it all in a chat session, and come on and harass individuals like Cujo or myself. And I don't, like to indulge in social media to that extent. Like, I'm usually very brief. I'll hook up with somebody and then we'll talk offline. But what I'm saying here is that track record issue is something that, I know what I have been doing and other Moors have been doing, that I have been communicating with. And so what I'm saying here to the people, to the masses, is that you have to know where a person stands. Don't just look at what they're saying in social media. Don't just listen and believe blindly and thinking that everything is, hunky-dory. You have to look behind that curtain, you see. And the best way to do that is a track record. And so, in short, these individuals are definitely not operating in any way, shape, or form that is conducive to any sort of nation or any sort of individuals who truly honors national principles and civics. Truly they are slaves. And so I just wanted to call, and I wanted to, as somebody who did generate a video on behalf of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, RV Bay Publications, and recognizing, the egregious actions of these individuals, I found it necessary to call in and say that if they were going to apologize, it should be done in a specific manner. And I would put it on the table for consideration that they should apologize if, in fact, they are sincere, which they are not. This is just a game, to make fiat and cause confusion, etc. But if they were truly sincere, then I would put it on the table. I would want to see it in writing for the record. I would also want to see it also on the same type of medium that they utilize to disparage RV Bay Publications, Grand Sheik Cujo Adwell, et cetera, et cetera. So I not only want to see it, I would request a written, handwritten or typewritten, and at least at a minimum signature of them apologizing for their actions, and actually what they should be doing is distributing that paperwork to their superiors, and it should be witnessed appropriately by Moorish nationals, and not just individuals who are saying that they're Moorish nationals, but individuals who have done the appropriate paperwork at a minimum to let the world know that they are, in fact, Moorish nationals. Because I am tired of individuals who just say that they're Moors and just talk crap in chat sessions but do nothing in the world, do absolutely nothing. And so as I, so regardless of what people say, it's what you do that really counts. And people that have no track records, be very wary of them. And so, but getting back on point, social media, that's something that I would definitely put on the table, that they should, generate a video. And certainly whoever, Grand Sheik Kudra brought up an excellent point, whoever they answer to should be talking to them. If this were real, like if they were really part of a sincere, cohesive, functioning unit as part of a temple, those things should be taking place, because clearly these individuals have no decorum, have no true love for their fellow Moors, and I could, go on to state that they have, in fact, broken some of the bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And again, I am not a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'm an honorary member, but I do take it upon myself to do some reading. And so there's a lot of things that can be said, but in short, to not take up the all of the time, there's a lack of just basic protocol that they have seemed to indulge in. And so I would, again, request that if they are sincere about apologizing, note that they have, in my estimation, committed treasonous acts against the Moorish Divine and National Movement. They have basically indulged in slander. They have lied. They have misrepresented the Constitution of the United States, of the Republic United States of America, ratified in 1791. They have maliciously put out information that clearly shows absolutely no study in that laws and that statutes have some semblance where a statute can actually override a law, or that a statute or a code, as an example, a municipal code can ever in any way be the same as a law. And so that's just a lie. That's just a flat-out lie. And whether or not they know it or not, that's not my concern. And the last thing that I want to say, and I'm sorry for taking so long, because I just wanted to get this off my chest, but I just want people to think about this, is that the Moorish Science Temple of America is not supposed to function. Its members, even if somebody just takes a brief, short period of time to read the duties and functions of the administrative functions, which a lot of these places don't want you to know about, that call themselves Moorish Science Temples, you would find that things like what these individuals took part in, like what they stated, I want that to be made clear. The types of things that they accused individuals who are part of Great Seal, RV Bay Publications, these are serious matters. This is not bubblegum, games here. This is serious issues that, borders on treason or is directly treason. And if that is in fact the case, and you are operating as an official of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and you have a title, then there is requirements. There are requirements that you have to take in order to address those issues lawfully. Like, you have to bring that to the attention of someone. Furthermore, and this is truly the last thing that I will say is, who are the members of the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America? And I don't know if that's the correct terminology for their positions, but who are these people that seem to have no actual title? Who are these individuals, and why has that not been addressed? So there are a lot of things that need to be thought about that I feel that should be brought to the table in regards to these individuals, because if there was, in fact, I don't believe that there are actually individuals who actually hold those positions. Because if the Moorish Science Temple of America, was truly functioning in a de jure fashion, then surely there would be documents that have been distributed both nationally and internationally by their temple about this issue. And I respectfully yield the floor. Islam.
Indeed. Well said. Definitely well said. I couldn't agree more. These people, that's the whole thing. That's another issue I have, the way that things are being carried, the ill, slanderous accusations, like not even real, just it's crazy. You know what I mean? That is treasonous. So yeah, definitely. But we have a few substantial callers left, and we definitely need to move on. Brother Bakari, thank you for adding that on. That was all wisdom right there. Cujo, you want to say anything before we go to the next caller?
No, I'm straight, more.
All right, Islam. Now, okay, so I'm thinking you said the brother Ramael. Hold up. Excuse me.
Actually, brother Setting Rob is on there, 215.
Indeed, I was yes, indeed. About to bring the brethren on now. Islam, Noble Setting Rob. Tell me you connected.
Islam, I'm here, bro.
All right, that's what's really good. Cool. Talk
good,
to
man.
us, Setting Rob. What's happening?
All right, couple things that was on my mind. The mother that was on before Brother Bakari, she brought up when that guy Taharka said to Cujo, "What are you building?" And that was around the time I turned the video off. I couldn't really tolerate listening to too much more of it. But the one thing that rang out in my mind is this: Cujo, I know Cujo, and I know you personally, and I know for a fact Cujo talks to a lot of people. When they first coming into the movement, they talk to Cujo. Cujo gives them information. Cujo puts out a ton of videos. This guy has over 500 videos on YouTube. So when you ask him what is he building, he's building a nation. He's building a nation. Never mind the bricks. He's building people's character. He's building people's minds. He's building a nation. So when you want to sit there and argue and say, "What are you building? What are you building?" Look around. You got some brick and mortar. All right, cool. Now then it comes to find out that you're renting a place, so you ain't really making too much noise. But this guy's building nations. And as far as what's going on with RV Bay Publications, in the last class that I did, I had to actually pull up the website, and I had to read from the website. I went to the link that says how to use this site, and I read from that site. I read for the people so they could hear what's actually on the site. I don't want no hearsay. I read it so they can hear it and they can see it, and I showed them how to navigate the site. And I had to take it back to the young sister being slain and assassinated in Baltimore because RV Bay Publications and Taj Tariq Bey were being accused of her death, even though none of you pulled the trigger. And I had to take it personally because anytime they accuse you, they accuse me because we're all affiliated. We're family. So I asked the people in the class a simple question. I asked a simple question, and I'll ask everybody that's listening to this broadcast this question. If RV Bay Publications or Taj Tariq Bey told you to jump off of a roof of a building, what would you do? And everybody looked around, and they said, I ain't jumping off no building. And I started smiling. And they so, you know, of course, they're wondering, what is he smiling at? And I'm just sitting there smiling, listening to everybody say what they wouldn't do. And I said to everybody, well, if RV Bay Publications or Taj Tariq Bey told me to jump off of a building, what I would do is I would walk over to the edge of the roof and I would look over, because I might be able to jump off the building. And what that says is this: examine the information you're being given. Just because I say it, just because Ms. Rain says it, just because Cujo says it, or anybody else, doesn't mean that you take it for a piece of gold. You take it for what it's worth, and you do your research. So if you tell me to jump off a building, I'll walk over to the edge and I'll look over the roof and see if I can jump off of the building. Same thing with the information. If you can use it, use it. If you can't, discard it. And don't sit around and slander and make up stuff about it's your fault that somebody got assassinated. No. It's not. The people who pulled the trigger, it's their fault. Simple as that.
Bottom line. Same thing with Mansour Ball Bay. Like, can't nobody pin the murder of Mansour Ball Bay on anybody except for those who pulled the trigger. So these dudes are living in some other type of bubble. But yo, Samrod, just for the record, let's make it clear too. Yo, Corinne Gaines had a license. Like, so, and she didn't die at the traffic stop. So let's like, you know, you feel what I'm saying? So she had a license. So and can't even put that to the road travel. Right.
No, they can't even begin to put that on RV Bay. But even furthermore, for anybody else that's on the line, take the time to go to Google and just type in right to travel and see how many Supreme Court case laws come up. All RV Bay did was made you aware of it. Do your research. All you got to do is go to Google and type in right to travel and see how many Supreme Court case laws come up. Find out what res judicata means. That's why we use that Black's Law dictionary. That's why we go to the Black's Law to find out what those types of words mean. Go find out what res judicata means. And then start pointing fingers. The information is out there. It's a beautiful thing that y'all doing. Cujo, you're a beautiful brother. Ms. Raim, you're a beautiful brother. Your mother, Anna Eid, the whole family. So we ain't going to worry about all of this nonsense that people out here talking or the slander. The bottom line is they're just upset, man. They're trying to collect fiat. With everything that we do, none of us asking anybody for anything. None of us.
Word.
And I can say that because I know you and I know Cujo. Personally, we meet in the flesh, and ain't none of us asking anybody for anything. I learned from y'all.
Word.
So for everybody out there who may be confused, who may be on a level, all you got to do is just do your research. Whatever you see on RV Bay, look it up. Whatever the rest of these guys are talking about, look it up. And as far as any nonsense about any temple affiliation, Cujo is the Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple. He's on a call right now with Ms. Rain from RV Bay Publications. What beef?
Exactly.
I mean, all people got to do is think. I'm traveling to Canaanland in a month, less than a month's time, to do Noble Drew Ali Day for the 4th year in a row. So what's this nonsense people talking about? We not repping the Prophet, and we got something against the temple. For anybody who's ever been in a class with anybody who represents RV Bay Publications, they have never been told to not go to a temple. They have never been told, don't go to the temple. It may have been something said about the people in the temple, but the temple itself is not the problem. The problem is the people in the temple that's misrepresenting the temple.
Exactly. Just like they're doing.
Yeah, that's where the problem comes in. Now, like I said, in less than a month's time, I'll be in Canaanland with Cujo at his temple for who knows how many times I've been there. Who knows? So for everybody talking that nonsense about beef with the temple, beef with RV Bay, kill that noise, man. We one big happy family, and that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way it's going to be. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam, said, Rob. Word. Thank you for adding that on. And that's what it is, man. So, yeah. And definitely that's going to be a conversation that eventually we have to further continue. You know what I mean? But everything he said was on point. And again, you know, it is what it is. So again, acknowledgement to you, Cujo, for you know, actually being, you know, in the Moore Science Temple of America, Grand Sheik, etc. Because yeah, man, like you, as far as defending, you know, the truth of the matter, you did a great work. You know what I mean? And still are. So, you know, don't let nobody take nothing from that. But yo, Samurai, peace and love, more. Thanks for tuning in with that. We're gonna go to the next caller because we got a few minutes left, about 20 minutes left. So call it 972-839. You're live on the air. You with us? Islam, call it 972-839.
Islam, family. Islam, brother. Call. Islam, with y'all 100%. And I give all praise due to Allah. RV-based publication and Moore Heritage History School has some of the greatest legal and lawful aptitude minds across this country. It has been written, and I would state it as universal law and fact. The gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah, and he appointed to everyone his portion in what manner seemeth good unto himself. He had endowed thee with wisdom. He had enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth, communicated to the ignorant for their instruction, communicated to the wise for their own improvement. True wisdom is less presuming than folly. The wise man doubted often and changes his mind. The fool is obstinate and doubted not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. The pride of emptiness is an abomination, and to talk much is the foolishness of folly. Nevertheless, it is the part of wisdom to hear with patience their impertinence and to pity their absurdities. Yet be not puffed up in their own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. The clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly. The wise man feeleth his imperfections and is humbled. He labored in vain for his own approbation, but the fool peepeth in the shadow streams of his own mind and is pleased with the pebbles which he seeth at the bottom. He bringeth them up and showeth them as pearls, and with the applause of his brethren delighted himself. He boasted of attainment in the things that are of no worth. But where it is a shame to be ignorant, there he had no understanding. Even in the path of wisdom, he toiled after folly, and shame and disappointment are the rewards of his labor. But the wise man cultivates his mind with knowledge. The improvements of the arts is his delight, and their utilities to the public crowned with honor. I'd like to stop there. Harvey Bay Publication, Moore Heritage History School, Cujo. Teach the people. As our illustrious prophet came to uplift, to raise us up out of the state that we was in, because we need no more. That's why they took the nationality from the Moors in 1774. But it's a new time in era now. And every man must worship on their own vine and fig tree. Islam, I relieve the flow.
Islam. Hey, the number that you're calling in on right now, is this one you can be reached at?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Islam.
Okay, cool.
Islam,
no.
Islam.
All right. Peace and love. One. All right.
Peace and love.
Cool. All right. Caller 910-709. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Hey, this is Brother Ernest Manning Bay, Northwest of Maxim. What's going on, brothers? Once again, all right, more. Once again, let's lay it to rest. Okay? These haters are just like the modern Europeans. Okay? You don't attack something unless it's right, true, and proper. Okay? It goes against all the negativity. Keep doing what you're doing, okay? Because there's no way. Remember Chicago, remember Detroit, what the prophet said. They are just like Chicago and Detroit, okay? Ain't no grass going to grow up over there. Can't happen till they get straight, okay? We're one family, okay? RB Bay Publication is the highest cell, and the rest of these clowns are the lowest cell. It's part of the same body, okay? It has to be. It has to be, okay? History will repeat itself without a doubt, okay? You can't have the positive without the negative. And we realize that. So we don't have to worry about them anymore, okay? Plant the good seed, okay? Just keep planting the good seed and don't worry about the chaff, okay? Because they get plucked up. Without a doubt. We ain't got to do nothing. Just sit back, relax, and just keep trying to emphasize to these brothers, raise it up to the higher self or be nature's food. Because that's what's going to happen. Point blank. Islam. Keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Islam, noble, indeed.
All right.
Indeed. Peace and love.
And we out. All right. Peace and love.
Indeed.
All right.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. One. Cool, Joe. All right. Cool indeed. Caller 352-509. You're live on the air. Are you with us, Sam?
Absolutely, brothers. Absolutely. Brother Miz,
right.
You nailed it. Morisco. Give it to him in the historical context. The Moors who capitulated to the conquistadors. It may be uncomfortable. It may be uncomfortable and unpopular, but it is right and exact, and we know the truth hurts. I mean, at this point, I really have been somewhat wrestling with self because I really don't feel the urge to preach sermonettes to these Christianettes, but they need it. So, since they have themselves chosen to be Moriscos and capitulate to these conquistadors, these Christian powers, give it to them just like it is. If you have capitulated to conquistadors and you have bowed down before conquistadors, you have subjected yourself to the Roman Catholic Church and the head of the Roman Catholic Church, and now your obligation is to them. So since we are people of law, let me talk lawfully to you and tell you about your obligation. I'm putting it on the table. Your obligation, Morisco family, straight from your book, so you won't say I'm coming at you from my personal feelings or opinion. Your book, the Holy Bible, Morisco family, says, and I quote, "How can two walk together unless they agree?" Look here, you can talk all of that unity talk if you want to, but your book, Morisco family, says if there is no agreement, there is no unity. So we have to agree on some fundamental things. You can talk all that pseudo-cowboy talk, but I know real cowboy talk, and I'm listening to cowboy talk when I'm listening to my brothers, Cujo and Brother Mizraim. And I say cowboys in the realest sense of the word, Taurus, which is the cow, and boy, which is the son of the cow. Y'all are some real cowboy talk. Keep it right there, because it's 100, and we need that. It's time for the purge. Stop playing games. We are talking about people's nationality and birthright, which is not even negotiable. It's not for sale. It's not alienable. Stop playing games. It's real. Keep acting like you don't know. The universe does not respect person or station. Act like you don't know, and you'll be a victim. Not because I say so, not because I have something against you. Simply speaking, Moorish principles, Moorish perspective, Morisco family. The prophet himself said this is a divine and national movement. The word divine, due to etymology, I know I heard the brother disrespecting my brother talking about playing word games. It's not a game. It's called science, which means knowledge, which means it's something that is known and something that can be shown. We can prove it. Due to etymology, what does the word divine mean? If you don't have an abridged dictionary, you can grab an American Heritage Dictionary, and it will give you the root word for divine, and it will lead you to D-E-I-W. When you're talking about words, you cannot talk about a word and not talk about letters. The smallest component part of words are letters. When you take those letters and you put them together, they create prefixes, suffixes, and roots. You can keep playing games with these people if you want to and stirring up confusion if you want to, but again, grab that dictionary and find out that war is about confusion. People are taking this lightly. These people, like Brother Bakari said earlier, it's treasonous because you are warring against these people psychologically, and you need to stop it because the universe is watching you. This is not a game. Keep playing. This is not a game. It's for real. It's been for real. And if you've been sleeping on it, you're going to see it from a whole other angle. A whole other angle. But since you, Morisco family, have an obligation to these conquistadors to whom you have bowed down before, let's see what the head said when he stepped on the floor at the Congress. In the first paragraph of that transcript that you can find if you go online, he calls this the land of the free and the home of the brave. Let's stop right there at the word free. Grab yourself a Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, and see what the word free means. Unconstrained. Stop trying to put constraints on my brothers. Let them be free. Let them exercise their freedom. And guess what? We will give you that same right. It's your right if you want to bow down to these conquistadors. That's your right. You can do that. But you do not have the right to attempt to constrain other people mentally who are attempting to gain the knowledge and the truth of their nationality and their birthright. You are way out of line, and the universe sees you. Think it's a game. It's coming, and it's real. Morisco family, you want to know what your obligation is? Let me take you back to your holy Bible. Let me take you back to Luke chapter 13 where it says, repent or perish. Think it's a game. It's not a game. The universe is not playing, and you, I don't care how long you have been running game, Cujo, I know you feel me, they can't stop the hands of time. They cannot stop the hands of time. It's the clock of destiny. Think it's a game and want to throw people's names around, CM Bay, master teacher. Keep name dropping and acting like you don't know what's really good. What's really good? Today there was a verdict that was passed down for somebody who walked up into one of these churches and assassinated a pastor. Grab your King Alfred plan and read where it says that minority leaders would be unseated at once, and this is not without precedent in American history because it's been done before. Check the record. That person who was assassinated in that church, who was a pastor, was also a state senator. Y'all keep playing like this is a game if you want to. It's real. The facts don't lie. We deal with facts. We're not talking about feelings. Straight facts. Morisco family, back to your book, back to your obligation. Matthew chapter 12, verse 36 says, every man must give an account. And guess what? That cowboy talk is back, and they calling you to set the record straight. It's time to give an account. And when you're giving an account, I know Mother Anna Eve, who has some background in finance and knows what I'm talking about. When you start talking about accounting, you have that which is on the left hand and that which is on the right hand. Morisco family, you better be on the right side, because if you're not right and you don't get right, you're going to get left, guaranteed. Not facts from my opinion, but facts that can be shown and proven to be facts. Brothers, I love the energy. Keep it right where you at with that real cowboy talk, that Taurus energy, that stands strong like the Rock of Gibraltar, that's firm, that's fixed, that does not falter. Keep doing what you're doing. The universe sees you. The universe hears you. The universe got you. Don't worry about this. The prophet has already spoken and say, hey, look, you continue. You already know, Miz. I know you know, Brother Cujo. Chapter 1, the creation and fall of man. Those solar stations, that's what leads on to victory. Keep your eye on the sky, on the prize. Keep plugging in. Know what time it is. Know how to tell time. And don't worry about them stopping time. They don't control time. This is a divine and national movement. It's not a joke. It's not a game. Stop playing. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love, more. Word, thank you for calling in and tuning in with that vibration. Brother Zamael, right on time. And, yeah, man, that's what it is. So, I don't know, Cujo, man. I was thinking I still got a lot more to say. I don't know. We'll talk about it maybe again, but maybe we could ritualistically do another Sons of Allah next week on the solstice. What you saying, man?
Yeah, we could try something. Why not?
So, maybe so, yeah. Because there's just a few things I still want to make clear. Like I said, salute to you. Brother Najib, I know you do what you do. Still upload this. I know there's some things, a dialogue that I'm not privy to like that. So I'm not going to speak on. But I just say, salute to everybody who did try to work for unity and things of that nature. It's not that nobody doesn't want that. But, at the end of the day, they were still talking crazy. Even minutes before this broadcast started. So, again, I didn't know everybody that you've heard me talk to in the last week or so. But hold on. Got to read this. Anna E sent me this message. And this is what she wanted to say. Don't want to take away from callers. Islam to you, chapter 2, sons. Just a little food for thought. If those who are being slanderous, if you took a quarter of the energy used to slander family, our issue with right to travel would be a breakfast fight, past tense, Islam. All rights reserved. That's true indeed. But again, these are voluntary Moriscos, who've accepted that Christian rule and whatnot. So, yeah, like I said, man, I talked to the dude, and I didn't, the brother Neil Bay, I didn't know exactly who he was at that time, and, whatever happened, I'm not for disunity, but what I'm saying is, everybody who tried to do something and was told that we started this, no, we did not, and they're still crazy, so they ain't like we just wanted to randomly take shots. Cujo, I know as of now, you've taken some videos down for a minute or whatnot. I don't know. I'm just letting you know, as long as we're being attacked, I don't want to have to do it, but, via Mantis, Views 29, etc., and all other active Moors, I'm pretty sure are going to keep defending this. So, ain't nothing being deactivated until a public apology for the things that happen goes down or, whatever else. So, salute to everybody. Cujo, salute to you. Acknowledgement, Islam. Canaanland Moors worldwide. Keep in mind, MHHS Sister Standing on Law. It's Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, this is just scratching the surface, because if we got to go in, we really will unroll and unfold and wash you up. That's what's going to happen. And don't bring up to me no case law until a Moor shows me that they rebutted the fact that the Moor Science Temple of America is a black Islamic sect, okay? All right? because Noble Drew Ali directly taught that Moors are not Negro, black, and colored. So, cool, Joe, salute to you for that. And I'm going to yield the floor there. If you got anything to say, go ahead. Close us out, or I'll close us out with some tunes.
Yeah, man, you close us out with some tunes. I just want to tell all the Moors, thank you for their support, and thank themselves for using their 5 senses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not taking what RV Base says as that's what it is, and not doing their research, and you know what I mean? Have 50 tabs on a website, and the first thing you go to is, you know, nationality card or whatever. You're tripping.
Yeah.
You're tripping.
Right.
First thing that you go to, nationality card, when you go to rvbaypublications.com, you're tripping. And whatever goes down, that gets you whatever you got. Because you're tripping, that's what you get for tripping.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to university and talk about degree on the first day.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So honors to the Moors who take the studious approach to nationality and birthrights. You know, before they do anything else, they take it upon themselves to put in some hours. You know what I mean? In this new realm of information that's so vast that it's unbelievable how vast this school of thought is. You know. And of course, you know, honors to RV Bay Publications and Taj Tariq Bay for the works that they did throughout the years to make sure that, you know, Moors have reference points that lead them somewhere. You know, no dead-end reference points. All the reference points lead to somewhere that, you know, like Sister Energy was saying, the Moors built libraries off of RV Bay and Taj Tariq Bay saying, go get a dictionary. From going out and getting that one book, whether it's a Black's Law Dictionary first or etymology dictionary or an unabridged dictionary, whatever, that was everybody's first set of books. You know what I mean? And in your studying, and you get to that place where that's not the only books that you have anymore, you know what I mean? You actually have a library. You actually have some shelves and some stuff stacked up. Can't even get on a shelf. You need to buy a new shelf or 2 shelves or whatever like that. You know, this is what it's about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Islam to everybody, and Islam to you, Ms. Give thanks for everything.
Islam. Indeed, likewise. And great works for everything you've done and will continue to do going into this next timetable, if you will. Again, I hope nobody get it twisted. This is not no retirement speech. This is just a recap, you know what I'm saying, of where we at right now. So, yeah, with that being said, man, I don't really have time to play a tune out, but I say, man, you know, salute to what you're doing for all the music, Merry Winter Solstice, some all Moors, everybody, you know, natural energy, and I trust that we're gonna continue to stand on nationality, love, truth, peace, freedom, emphasis on freedom. You Morisco, stop talking crazy about the right to travel. Okay, we're gonna stand on that. If y'all want to conform to the new matrix, etc., that's y'all. But don't push that on our people because y'all want to be Negro-minded status people. So that's where we at with it, man, you know. And remember, all due respect to Noble Drew Ali, but Moorish nationality existed before Noble Drew Ali